My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 35 years old, and I live in a quiet suburb just outside Austin, Texas. I thought marriage would give me a safe home, a loving partner, and a real family. Instead, I walked straight into a storm. This is the story of how my own mother-in-law tried to destroy me, and how I refused to be destroyed. Sarah Mitchell grew up in San Antonio, the daughter of a nurse and a retired firefighter. She worked her way through college, earning a master's degree in social work. When she met Daniel Mitchell at a community health fundraiser, his polite manners and quiet strength seemed like a blessing after years of hard work. Daniel came from an old Texan family with deep roots in business and philanthropy. His widowed mother, Eleanor Mitchell, was famous in their county for her charity events and her iron will. When Daniel proposed, Sarah felt she had finally found stability. She moved into the Mitchell family home, a stately brick house on a tree-lined street. The arrangement was supposed to be temporary while she and Daniel saved for their own place. Eleanor welcomed her with a delicate smile and a trembling hand. At first, Sarah saw only a fragile older woman who needed company. She cooked dinners, helped sort mail, and drove Eleanor to medical appointments. She believed they would become close, like mother and daughter. But within weeks, small cracks appeared. Eleanor insisted on choosing the furniture for Sarah and Daniel's bedroom, claiming it was tradition. She made comments about Sarah's working-class tastes and unladylike laugh. Daniel brushed it off. "She's just old-fashioned, honey." Sarah tried to laugh too, telling herself love was stronger than irritation. Yet deep inside, a whisper of unease began to grow. By the time Sarah became pregnant with their first child, Eleanor's behavior had shifted from subtle barbs to outright control. She rearranged the nursery without asking, painting over the soft sage walls Sarah had chosen and replacing them with frilly pink curtains. When Sarah protested, Eleanor clucked her tongue. "A baby's room should look like a baby's room. Trust me, dear." At church functions, Eleanor introduced Sarah as Daniel's wife, but never by name. She spread rumors that Sarah didn't know how to cook or clean properly. Sarah, trained to help abused women find their voices, felt herself shrinking inside her own home. She started keeping a private journal, dates, times, words, and incidents, anything that could help her see the pattern clearly. Daniel remained loving but oblivious. "She's lonely since Dad died," he said whenever Sarah tried to talk. "Don't take it personally." But Sarah did take it personally. She noticed Eleanor kept a lockbox of financial papers and often whispered on the phone after Sarah left the room. Something wasn't right. She just didn't yet know how wrong it would become. One rainy Thursday, Sarah opened a letter from their bank, expecting routine statements. Instead, she found a notice of overdue payments on a loan she'd never heard of. Confused, she went to the bank in person. The manager, a soft-spoken woman named Carla, showed her the file. To Sarah's shock, it bore her signature, except she had never signed anything. The loan had been taken out in her name, secured against Daniel's trust fund. Her stomach turned. She photocopied everything and went straight to Daniel's office. But when she tried to explain, Daniel frowned. "Mom wouldn't do that." "Maybe you forgot signing," he suggested. Sarah stared at him, unable to believe he thought she was lying. The rift between them widened. That night she called a lawyer recommended by a former client. The lawyer's advice was calm but chilling. Collect evidence quietly. Don't alert her until you're ready. Sarah realized she was fighting not just for her reputation, but for her child's future. She hid the documents in a lockbox at a friend's apartment and kept her smile fixed at home. Months passed. Eleanor's tactics escalated. She criticized Sarah's parenting in front of neighbors, undermined her at every turn, and once, accidentally, told the church committee that Sarah had misused donated funds. The humiliation cost Sarah her job at the community center. She came home one afternoon to find Eleanor sitting in the living room, sipping tea, looking triumphant. The final straw came when Sarah overheard Eleanor telling her granddaughter, barely 3 years old, "Mommy doesn't know how to take care of you. Grandma will." The child looked confused and frightened. Sarah felt her blood run cold. She realized Eleanor wasn't just manipulating adults, she was planting seeds in the next generation. That evening, while Eleanor attended a gala, Sarah walked over to the home of Mrs. Parker, an elderly neighbor who had always offered kind words. "Over tea," Mrs. Parker whispered. "You're not the first, dear." Years ago, Eleanor drove away Daniel's brother's wife too. Took her savings and ruined her reputation. Hearing this, Sarah's sadness hardened into resolve. She would no longer play the polite daughter-in-law. Sarah's training as a social worker became her secret weapon. She knew how to build trust and gather information. She befriended the bank clerk who handled Eleanor's accounts, the family accountant who had long felt bullied, and even Eleanor's estranged sister in Dallas. Piece by piece, she assembled a puzzle of forged signatures, hidden transfers, and charitable funds rerouted into Eleanor's personal accounts. She also began recording conversations at home, using a small device tucked in her pocket. More than once, she caught Eleanor admitting to schemes in a tone of icy pride. Meanwhile, Sarah stayed outwardly calm, cooking dinners, attending events, acting the dutiful wife. Inside, she was creating a dossier strong enough to withstand any courtroom cross-examination. At night, she whispered to her sleeping child, "Mommy's going to make it right." Those moments gave her strength. She knew older women watching her story someday would understand. Silence can be deadly, but preparation is power. When Sarah finally filed for legal separation, Eleanor's shock turned to fury. "You ungrateful girl," she hissed in the hallway. But in court, the performance was different. Eleanor appeared in a lavender suit, trembling, with a Bible in her hands. She portrayed herself as a victim of a scheming daughter-in-law. Sarah's attorney, however, laid out a meticulous case: forged documents, audio recordings, testimony from the bank and accountant, even statements from Eleanor's sister. The judge's eyebrows rose higher with each exhibit. Elderly women in the gallery whispered, exchanging glances. The facade of the benevolent matriarch crumbled. Daniel sat pale and silent. When the recording of Eleanor coaching the child played, his shoulders slumped. He reached for Sarah's hand, but she kept her eyes on the judge. After hours of testimony, the ruling was clear. Sarah was granted custody, restitution of misappropriated funds, and a restraining order. Eleanor was ordered to undergo psychiatric evaluation and barred from contacting Sarah's workplace. Sarah moved into a modest but sunlit house in downtown Austin, where she set up a small counseling practice for women navigating toxic family dynamics. She decorated her daughter's room exactly as she had first planned: soft sage walls, a reading corner, and a window box of bright flowers. She felt her lungs expand each morning she woke up in a space free of whispered accusations. Daniel visited on weekends, humbled and trying to rebuild trust. Sarah was cordial but cautious. Her priority was her child and her own peace. She started speaking at local women's groups, telling her story not with bitterness, but with clarity. "Boundaries are not disrespect," she would say. "They're survival." Her story gained traction in local news. Letters poured in from women who had endured similar abuse, but never had words for it. Sarah realized she had transformed her pain into a platform. The video ends with Sarah sitting on a park bench, Texas sunlight filtering through live oaks. She looks directly into the camera. "I thought respecting elders meant accepting cruelty. It doesn't. I thought love meant silence. It doesn't. Standing up for yourself, even against family, can save your soul. If you're watching this and someone is undermining you, know that you're not alone. You can reclaim your power." She explains how therapy, evidence gathering, and legal action saved her future. She encourages viewers to document incidents, reach out to support networks, and never feel ashamed of defending themselves. Her words are measured, warm, and strong. The voice of someone who has walked through fire and emerged intact. Cutaway shots show Sarah playing with her daughter in their backyard, speaking at a women's shelter, and mailing a donation to a legal aid fund. Soft music underscores her closing message: "You're never too old or too young to start again." For an audience of older American women, the message lands as both warning and inspiration. Family conflict can be devastating, but dignity and justice are possible. Sarah's story isn't just revenge, it's transformation.